Hey babes, and welcome to Gore&Gossip. I'm Jaurdyn.
And I'm Nicole. And this is your weekly deep dive into all things terrifying, true crime cases, cold-blooded killers, and the occasional creepy conspiracy.
And since it's spooky season, we're turning up the chills with haunted legends, cursed objects, and the kind of stories that'll make you second guess the shadows in your hallway.
From killers to cryptids, from bloodstains to ghost chains, if it makes your skin crawl, we're talking about it.
So lock the doors, light a candle,
and let's get into it.
Guys, it's our favorite season. It is finally spooky season.
It's here.
Which means that you now get 2 episodes.
Yeah. So we decided that for the month of October, technically starting September 30th, which is when this episode will air, you guys will get 2 episodes a week. It'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays. So be on the lookout, still 9 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But we are doing a double episodes for the month of October.
Which is so fun because we each get to bring our own little special interest to it.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about the Salem witch trials, which
I don't care how much we talk about the Salem witch trials. I never get tired of it.
Me neither. I'm so fascinated by the hysteria of it all.
Yes.
And I can remember reading The Crucible and being like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, we read it. I forget what year it was that we read it in high school. And I don't think it was my freshman year. It was maybe my junior year. And we also watched the movie. And I was like, what is this? Because it was my first time ever seeing it. Okay, maybe it was freshman year. I can't remember. But I remember watching it. And I was like, what the heck is this? I was like, this is wild. I've never seen this movie before, which was crazy considering I've just heard about The Crucible and little tidbits prior to that. But the first time I ever watched it, I was like, this is literally insane.
The fact that I think I read it in high school, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So freshman year in high school.
Yeah, so maybe it was freshman year. If you think you read it then, I think that's when I read it too.
Yeah, and it still sticks with me to this day. So doing research was really fun. So
I know, it's so fun. And Salem is such a fun trip too. I loved being there. We talked about that in the first episode. I said it was Boston, which I have been to Boston too, but it was Salem. We did Salem. And that was such a fun trip. I went with my mom and my sister, and it was so much fun. And we went in October too.
Gosh, I'm so jealous.
There was a bar crawl going on while we were there. It was so funny. I was too young for it. I was in high school when we went, but
gosh, I want a field trip there. So I'm a field trip as if it's school, but I want to go there with Danielle. I think that'd be so fun.
It definitely is. It's so much fun. I keep telling Dag that we need to go. I want to bring him to Boston, and even though I don't love Boston teams, but I want to bring him to Boston because I love this city. I think it's so rich in history, so beautiful. And then Salem's right there, of course, so I've got to bring him there too. And I have many Plymouth. We've been to Plymouth, and I have so many favorite places. There's a restaurant that I would go to with my parents, and my parents love lobster rolls and stuff, and I don't come from me. I don't like lobster, so I don't eat raw lobster rolls, but I would get crab cakes there instead, and it was so good. And there's this cupcake place that's up there, and if anybody's ever visited, you know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the name of it right now, but they have Hostess cupcakes, and my mom would always, I have to ask her and talk about it next time we record. I'll tell you guys that they have Hostess cupcakes, and my mom the last time that she was up there, she brought us back. So
that sounds so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's travel back in time to the 1600s and picture this. It's late February 1692, a wintry cold in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Snow blanketing the forest beyond Salem Village, and inside a small home, 2 young girls, Betty Paris, age 9, and Abigail Williams, about 11, begin behaving strangely. Fits, convulsions, wild contortions. No natural explanation so far. Their father, Reverend Samuel Paris, a deeply religious man, is terrified. The local doctor sees no physical illness, and the word witchcraft is uttered. And suddenly, everything changes. I freaking
I don't
love
care.
this.
I don't get tired of it.
I love it. So this is more than just superstition. It becomes legal horror, a breakdown of justice and lives lost. We're talking about the Salem witch trials in 60. Hold on.
I would have
Lexic.
done the same thing.
1892 to 93, one of the most infamous episodes in early American history. Over the course of a year, over 150 people were imprisoned, dozens convicted, and many executed. And the echoes remain. Today, we'll trace how it began, what unfolded, who was involved, the aftermath, and what lessons we carry forward. So first, to understand Salem, you have to understand its world. Puritan New England in the late 17th century was a place of faith and fear. People believed deeply in a cosmic struggle between God and the devil. Signs of God's favor, signs of God's wrath were everywhere. And the Puritans saw the devil everywhere. Cotton Mather, one of the colony's ministers, wrote in The Wonders of the Invisible World in 1692, the New Englanders are people of God, settled in those which were once the devil's territories, and may it easily be supposed that the devil was exceedingly disturbed when he perceived such a people here accomplishing the promise of old made unto our blessed Jesus, that he should have had the uttermost parts of the earth for his possession. Crazy, I know.
A mouthful.
Lots of words. And to add to this, there was also frontier pressures, conflict with the indigenous tribes, wars, rumors of attacks, and also social tensions, economic inequality, land disputes, church membership, who is in and who is out, and sometimes people who dissent or are outsiders are already vulnerable. And during this time, there was a lot of strain socially and economically. Not just an intense passion for religion, as you saw. There was legal and governmental instability because in 1684, the charter for the Massachusetts Bay Colony was revoked by England, ending its status as a charter colony and paving the way for confusion about authority. All of these forms created a pressure cooker. And to that comes illness, strange behavior, and
this is a time of like so much stuff happening. Like, I mean, we're talking like well over like 100 years worth of just shit happening like on a daily basis.
just
pretty
shit
much.
hitting the fan just constantly
Yeah.
and constantly.
Yeah.
And like this was before the founding fathers. This was before them.
Yeah.
Completely.
Like this is during a time where like everything honestly, like this is just a really crazy time in history, like period. Especially like to be in the colonies during this time, like while they're developing. If you're, you know, a history buff, then like you totally like this is a time period because like it's so interesting, like thinking, like learning and just talking about like what happens during this time in the colonies. The social economic of it all is literally insane because they're still trying to follow like the English structure of things and like not at the same time. Like it's wild. It's a wild time.
It is completely wild. And of course, at the core of it, what begins this massive firing off of witches everywhere is all due to Reverend Samuel Parris's daughter, Betty Parris, and his niece, Abigail Williams, beginning to suffer from those fits and strange behavior. Strange behavior. Children just messing around. A local minister described them in Parris's church records as they would sometimes be deaf, sometimes dumb, sometimes blind, and oftentimes variously distorted in their limbs and in pain. I mean, sometimes I act like I can't hear.
Yeah. It's called selective. Listen, my daughter does it to me every day when she doesn't want to pay attention to what I'm telling her she can't do.
So
she'll just ignore me calling her.
By these standards, she's a witch.
Yeah. And she throws fits, so.
Witch.
She would be deemed a witch.
The girls complained of bites, contorted their bodies, threw things, and fell into trances. A doctor's examination concluded they were suffering from the evil effects of witchcraft. and the afflicted girls were asked to name names, and they did. A historian, they literally named so many people, and they kept going and going and going, and it just is so crazy to me. So a historian of the Salem witch trials, Margot Burns, said, if you think about what's going on in New England, threat of attack from warring tribes, unease about a new charter, and suddenly something strange happens in your household and you're a minister, you know a witch was arrested in Chelmsford and another in Ipswich. Did I say that right?
I don't remember.
Ipswich.
It's okay.
I'll go with that. You
know
believe
what?
that
It's not going to be right anyway because you're not from Massachusetts and they say things in a very specific way.
Sorry, massholes.
It's fine. It's fine that you guys say it like that. I'm not. No dig. I promise.
Perfect. You believe that the devil is against Massachusetts, and you believe the devil is against your church, and you believe the devil is against you as a Protestant Puritan minister, and it's in your house. There were reasons why it was credible that there could be witches in Salem Village.
You also have to think about like going back to like the whole like war with tribes thing. Like you have to think about that you're on like foreign land and like taking land from other people. So like that's gonna cause like some really high tensions and some strange behavior because stress causes people to act weird. It causes children to do weird things. So
this is just so heartbreaking. The girl's named Sarah Good, a woman who lived in poverty and a mother. Sarah Osborne, a woman who didn't attend church in a few months. Tituba, an enslaved woman of a Native American and Caribbean origin in the Paris household. All three women in March of 1962 were taken into custody and charged with witchcraft.
It's so sad what happens to all of these people, and not just in Salem. I mean, this was a crazy time around the world for like witch hunts, and we'll definitely cover more because this is something that I like to talk about because it's crazy. People were literally like, they just, because they didn't go to church, maybe they were going through their own personal thing and didn't want to attend church but were praying at their home or something, or whatever it was, whatever their reasoning, or they were just an outsider or not a person of the same faith, and like this native woman Tituba. And it's just sad that like these women were thrown into something and forced essentially to say that they were or weren't and what would happen to them every time that something happened.
Especially with Tituba, because during her examination on March 1st, 1692, she confessed, saying, "The devil came to me and bid me serve him. He came to me in the shape of a man, and he had a book. He bid me set my hand to it, or I should be tormented."
Meanwhile, she's being tormented to
literally, because like she lived in the Paris household.
Confess.
She took care of the house for them and was enslaved to them. And so she's like, oh, this little girl that I took care of, practically raised, is now coming after me. And I'm an enslaved woman. What else am I going to do? They're going to kill me either way.
Exactly. So you might as well just confess and hope that it's quick, or they just jail you. It
just angers me. And she implicates others, describing specters or spiritual beings, a devil's book, and night meetings. Her confession ignites a flame, and it lends supposed credibility to the idea that witchcraft is real, active, and dangerous. I mean, I believe in witchcraft.
I was just going to ask.
Obviously.
Do you believe in witchcraft?
But for this specific story, it is just mass hysteria of finger pointing and preying on those vulnerable in this community.
And that doesn't mean that there might not have been, if you believe, I'll leave with that there might not have been actual witches during this time. There are people now who there's a lot of people who claim that they're, related or a reincarnation of one of the witches from this time period or from one of those families. And, how many of them are true, how many are not, you never know. But I mean, it's totally possible that there probably was some around, and they probably didn't get persecuted because they probably, and they might have. There might have been some that did, and there might have been some that didn't. So you don't know.
Yeah. We really will never know, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could go back in time and see, but
no thanks.
no, thank you. I probably
Maybe
would
as
be
like a dog.
Yeah, a dog. I don't want. Well, no, dogs also got accused of witchcraft.
You're right. You're right.
Crazy,
Definitely
but
not a cat.
Oh, you're joking.
Hold on, because I definitely just woke the baby. Hang on,
Nicole.
I'm scared.
What the fuck, Nicole? What the fuck?
It was definitely just the hook, like that. It was just the hook because these are like not great, and it must have not been pressed on like good enough because the hook is literally off the wall. Okay, well, I don't remember where we were, but we'll restart.
Okay, I don't know how to move past that.
Sorry,
very weird
guys.
that it was a witch in the painting and it fell down as we were talking about it.
Oh yeah. So like, if you guys didn't see, can't see that painting that was back there, I'll show it to you guys. It's beautiful. We love her. She's from Michael's.
She's gorgeous.
I literally just hung it before we started this, and
she got angry. She got angry.
No, I just the hook that it's on. I'll show you guys like what it is. It's like one of like these like little command hooks, and yes, I did have the command part on the back, but it. They're shitty, so it definitely just fell because of that.
I love your explanation. We'll take it as that.
Oh no, it definitely was that. I'm going with that because I will refuse to believe anything else. It was just really bad timing.
It was just really terrible timing. Okay. So anyways, most of these men and women were already vulnerable to suspicion. And once Tituba confesses and once the young girls point fingers, fear spreads like wildfire. And spectral evidence becomes accepted. Testimony that the accused spirits or specter appears to torment the afflicted, even when the accused were physically elsewhere. Crazy. So they would say that they saw them torment them in their spirit form. But again, the historian I spoke about continued to say that this didn't have to go any further than the original 3 women who were accused. But because Tituba was coerced into a false confession from the judges, John Hathorne and Jonathan Corwin, it would have stopped right there. And Hawthorne and Corwin could have stopped this and put a lid on it and said that they knew these women and that it is not true. But because that didn't happen, more women and men were accused.
Mm-hmm.
And by spring, examinations filled the meeting house. Judges asked harsh questions, and neighbors gave
depositions.
And neighbors gave depositions. From spring into summer 1692, more accusations pour in. Neighbors accuse neighbors, old grudges, envy, fear play a role. People are arrested and pretrial examinations are held and testimonies, arrest warrants. Court hearings begin under the special court of Oyer and Terminer, convened by Governor William Phips. Many judges accept that the afflicted girl's claims of seeing specters should count as proof, and this is deeply problematic. It means an accused person can be condemned for things they cannot defend against.
This is a time period where, like, they really took your word for things, and you could literally say the craziest shit, and depending upon who is the judge and the jury of your peers, they would believe anything that came out of your mouth, especially if it was a person that they didn't like or whatever the circumstances was.
And that also means that there's forced confessions, like we spoke about, threats and heavy pressure. Some confess and implicate others, trying to avoid execution or harsh punishment. And once someone names more people, the circle expands. And the courts don't initially force confessors to plead or offer full due process. There were attempts at questioning, but fairness by today's standards were often absent. Some accused were poor, illiterate, socially weak, and they may not have had the best counsel. and evidence was deeply biased. For example, one 4-year-old child, Dorothy Good, daughter of Sarah Good, who we'll talk about, was arrested on suspicion of witchcraft, and the child's age did not protect her from examination. A
I think
4-year-old.
some of them weren't even allowed counsel.
Mm-mm.
Like, yeah. And then to like blame a 4-year-old who, again, like we just talked about, my daughter who's about to be 1, she throws tantrums. So she looks like she can go into fits. She doesn't listen. A 4-year-old is not going to always listen to you. They're gonna have tantrums. They're gonna have fits and look like they're contorting or something because they don't want to do whatever it is that you're asking them to do. Like, let's just be real.
Like,
You're
come
going
on.
after a grown adult, going after a 4-year-old. Get out of here.
Likewise, Elizabeth Proctor was accused by Abigail Williams. Her husband, John Proctor, was also accused. And people with social standing could still be accused. So it didn't matter your social standing. They'll come after you if they envy you.
Mm-hmm.
And by mid-1692, many were convicted and executions began. And in May, the new Massachusetts governor, Sir William Phips, established a special court, like I said, to try those cases. And as the jails were filling up with accused witches, the number of those claiming to be afflicted by witches increased as well. And the first to be executed is Bridget Bishop in June of 1692. So it just took several months for people to start getting killed over these accusations.
Talk about a speedy trial.
Oh, but Bridget Bishop was about 60 years old and had been accused of witchcraft before, but was acquitted, and she was a midwife.
She was accused, I'm pretty sure, because she was a midwife and she like practiced medicine essentially, and
Like,
they didn't understand medicine
or
so
science.
it was science. Anything, it was witchcraft.
Everything's
Anything of the sort was witchcraft.
if it's not in the
You
Bible.
sneezed,
Witchcraft. But come June 2nd, during her trial that lasted 8 days, inside of her trial, we get an inside look because of Cotton Mather and that Wonders of the Invisible World that I mentioned before. He recorded that several people testified it against Bishop, stating that the shape of Bishop could pinch, choke, or bite them. So her shadow could pinch people, choke you, and bite you. The shape also threatened to drown one victim if she did not write her name in a certain book. And according to Mather, during the trial, anytime Bishop would look upon one of her accusers, they would immediately be struck down, and only her touch would revive them. It gets worse. It gets worse.
It feels like it's like something out of like a campfire story sometimes, like when we talk about it, because I'm like, I can't literally believe that like this was going on. Like, it's just crazy.
This is a part of our history, so sadly.
Yeah.
Her husband even said that she praised the devil. And adding to the list of people, including Ann Putnam, Mercy Lewis, Abigail Williams, Mary Walcott, and Elias Hubert.
Bitches.
Who said that she was a witch. And during her sentencing, a jury of women, all women, declared she had a third nipple, which is a mark of witchcraft. But after further examination, there was no third nipple to be found. But that didn't stop the judge to sentence her to hanging, marking her the first woman to be sentenced to death in the witch trials. And she was executed on Gallows Hill.
Disgusting.
Breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. But it only continues. So I'm going to go through all of the victims that I could find that had a backstory. That doesn't mean that these are everyone that was executed, but just the ones that I could find records of.
Yeah, there was a lot.
So many.
During this time period. It's disgusting. I forget. I'm going to actually, while you're talking, I'm going to look up the exact number because I can't remember it off the top of my head.
But the first woman to be accused was Sarah Good that I mentioned earlier, who was 46 years old, and she was the first person to be questioned back in March. And this is testimony from March 1st against Sarah Good from 12-year-old Ann Putnam Jr. The said Sarah Good has been a torment to me. I have often seen her shape, and she did afflict me with pinching and choking.
Ann Putnam I have words for you.
I have words for all of those girls. All of them.
Yeah. Specifically Ann Putnam and Abigail Williams. I have words for you.
Let's talk. Let's chat.
Yeah. Don't come back to haunt me, please. Actually, no, don't.
What? They're just gonna be like, witch.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
afraid. Come to me.
Yeah.
I don't care. Anyways, but that's not all. One man, Samuel Sibley, said that he was at the doctor's home when he was looking over Elizabeth Hubbard, one of the girls that contorted and was having a fit. And Elizabeth said that Sarah's specter had stood before him naked and he struck at her spirit with a staff to drive her off. And that's not even all, because Sarah Good's daughter, Dorothy, was also accused of witchcraft. At 4 years old, she had confessed and showed the judges evidence against her own mother.
You know that they coached her into saying that.
I could cry. Like, that is devastating.
A 4-year-old. That's disgusting.
And it only gets
disgusting people.
It gets so sad from here. Sarah was then sent to jail, pregnant, and gave birth to Mercy Good, who died in jail. And then she was executed on July 19th, 1692. Elizabeth Howe, another woman, Elizabeth Howe was originally from Ipswich in England and was described as a kind soul. She tenderly took care of her husband, John Howe, who was blind, but nonetheless, something about her made people jealous. Neighbors accused her of causing both their cows and their young daughter to die after they quarreled with her. And when she sought to become a member of a local church congregation, neighbors refused to let her in. All the while, they experienced a spat of injured animals or other bad luck, which they interpreted as supernatural acts of revenge. In court, her own brother-in-law, Captain John Howe, accused her of killing his young cow and inflicting upon him a painful numbness in his hand that made it impossible for him to work. She was also accused of sending her spectral form to attack a young girl and attempt to drag her into a Salem pond. God knows I am innocent of anything of this nature, she testified. But even though other witnesses vouched for her character, she was convicted and executed.
It couldn't have just been arthritis in his hand.
Nope, it was her fault. Your own freaking brother-in-law. It beat everyone.
We literally just said her name and now it's like blanked out immediately.
Input.
Bridget Bishop, her own husband, said that she worshipped the devil. And like this just goes to show you that like specifically during this time period, like how shitty people were. That like, I mean, you know, you got married to somebody and like more than half the time they were a shit person, unfortunately.
Because most of the time it wasn't love. It was for
I shouldn't say most
money.
of the time. I shouldn't say, yeah, exactly. It was like an arrangement.
Yeah.
And like you end up with like a shit person who doesn't care about you and they fucking say that you worship the devil. I mean, come on.
This breaks my heart. Another woman, Susanna Martin, a widow in her 60s and a mother of 8 kids.
8 kids. Oh my God.
Earlier in the 1670s, she was also accused of witchcraft and infanticide, but her husband had successfully countered the charges by suing her accusers for slander.
Good for him.
But
that's a good husband.
That is.
You don't accuse your wife of witchcraft.
Yeah. By 1690,
even if she is doing witchcraft, you don't accuse her.
Don't accuse her. Just hush about it. My God. By 1692, he had died, and when 15 of her neighbors accused her of bewitching them or causing their farm animals to die, she had to confront the charges alone. Some historians have speculated that the accusations against Martin were linked to an inheritance dispute in which she was involved. Deeply religious, she comforted herself by reading her worn old Bible in jail as she awaited execution.
Okay. She was a witch, sure.
And also during this time, animals were dying left and right. Like, let's
be real here.
Let's be real.
You're in a place that's like somewhat established and, you know, animals are still adjusting to that time, like, you know, the area. I mean, it's not even just adjusting to the area, I guess I really shouldn't say, but like it's just not like you didn't have as good of control over like diseases that were happening in the area, and like diseases spread so quickly through herd animals. Like, of course, that if one is dying, they're all gonna start getting sick and probably die, because you really didn't have like great practices then if you weren't paying attention or you weren't like super hyper aware, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, hygiene was just not a thing.
Yeah, no one
Hygiene was just
showered.
not a thing. How many times have we talked about this?
People are
Hygiene was just not a
disgusting.
thing.
Can't imagine the smells. Anyways, let's continue. Rebecca Nurse was an elderly woman who was sick, but was a respected member of the church. But Rebecca was also among the second wave of suspects accused by those meddling little girls who accused everyone in the beginning. In her initial court hearing, Rebecca protested her innocence. But when her youthful accusers cried out in fake pain and performed contortions to suggest that they were being tormented by her, prosecutors took her passive reaction as a sign of guilt. She was bound, she was set for trial, and was executed. This one's so sad too. Because apparently Sarah Wilds was a glamorous young woman, gorgeous, and everyone wanted her. But there was rumors swirling that she had engaged in illicit sex.
Of course there was.
Of course. You see a good-looking woman and suddenly you're like, blasphemy. You're doing illegal things.
What would they have called her during this time? They would have called her a, I can't think of the word.
Looking it up.
I was going to say it'll come to me eventually.
A harlot.
Yes, that's the word that I was thinking of. She
or
was
a wench.
Oh, yeah, a wench too. Yeah.
The accusations of witchcraft against her actually began decades before the Salem witch trials, when she married a widower, John Wilds, who raised the anger of his first wife's family. Because
I'm sure it did. He was probably an old man.
He had to have been. The sister of Wilde's first wife, Mary Reddington, accused Sarah of bewitching her, prompting John Wildes to threaten a slander suit unless she stopped. When one of Sarah Wilde's new stepchildren, Jonathan Wildes, began to behave strangely, some took it for demonic possession, and the suspicions against Sarah Wildes continued to simmer. In 1692, things finally boiled over. Wilde's son, Ephraim, was a local constable in Topsfield and protested her innocence when she was arrested by his superior, Marshal George Herrick. One witness pointed her as being part of a coven of specters who whispered at the foot of a dying child's bed, while others accused her of telekinetically sabotaging their ox cart after they borrowed her plow without her permission. Yet another testified that after quarreling with Wildes, she felt an apparently spectral cat walk across her in the middle of the night. Bizarre as the case against her was, Wildes was convicted and executed. Because she married an older man. What can you do?
He definitely was an older man.
Oh.
And the sister-in-law, like the ex-sister-in-law, was definitely had some kind of feelings about it, whether it was about Sarah herself of a certain type.
Or the money.
The money, honey. She probably thought she was entitled to it.
She did. She was like, that's my money.
Mm-hmm.
And so it continues. Reverend George Burrow was the only Puritan minister to be indicted and executed in the witch trials. No one was safe, not even a minister. If you acted out of sorts, you could be on the chopping block. Reverend Burrow was accused by Andover and Salem village residents of being a ringleader of a witch coven. Part of the evidence against Burrow was his exceptional physical strength, which was viewed as a sign of satanic assistance. Got big muscles, boy. And they're like,
what did he look like? Were men jealous of him? Is that what happened?
Toxic masculinity back in the 1600s. Apparently. Are we shocked? Puritan Inquisitor Reverend Cotton Mather, who suspected Burrow of being a Baptist and deviating from Puritan practices, attended his trial and urged the jury to convict him, which it did. When Burrow was on the ladder to the scaffold, he gave an impassioned speech protesting his innocence and concluded by reciting the Lord's Prayer, which supposedly witches were unable to do. and this prompted some of the onlookers to shed a tear and wonder if a terrible mistake had been made.
Probably. Yes.
It didn't save him, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't going to do anything at that point in time because they would have been looked at as a witch sympathizer.
Here we go again. It continues. Martha Carrier was called by Reverend Cotton Mather a rampant hag. Imagine being called a hag.
You're a hag, Cotton Mather.
He's the real OG hag. The daughter of one of the founding families of Andover, Massachusetts. Carrier was married and a mother of 4 children. She was an independent, strong-willed person who didn't like to back down from rude people, and that mouth got her in trouble. Carrier was fearless enough to denounce her youthful accusers, saying, "It is a shameful thing that you should mind these folks that are out of their wits," she said to the court. Unfortunately, that didn't save her from execution. I mean, I would have gotten in trouble. Truly, because I love to talk back. I love to talk back.
Yeah, for sure.
My yapping would have got me in trouble. And other reasons, like being gay, but whatever. George Jacob Sr. was a twice married father of 3 in his 70s. Just a grandpa. George was accused by one of his servants, Sarah Churchill, and his own granddaughter, Margaret.
They wanted the money.
The money, baby.
The money.
Both of them had been accused of witches and may have been trying to save their necks by implicating others. But as more people came forward to join them, including women who claimed that George's spectral projection had beaten them with the walking stick. But the most damning evidence was a slight bump on his right shoulder that they believed to be the, quote, witch's teat that the devil gave to those who made a deal with him. What? It's just not like a little lump from hurting her back?
Apparently not.
It's a teat? Come on.
Apparently.
Jacobs offered an unusual defense, arguing that although he was innocent, the devil may have taken his form to commit mischief. The court, however, decided that such shape-shifting could only have occurred with his consent, and he was condemned to death and executed.
Poor old man.
And again, John Proctor.
I know. The Proctors get me. I don't know if it's because of the Crucible, but the Proctors get me.
The Proctors literally just make me so sad. John Proctor, a successful farmer, entrepreneur, and tavern keeper, had made the grave mistake of criticizing the young girls who were accusing witches. He said that if they were to be believed, quote, "we should all be devils and witches quickly," and recommended that they be whipped or even hung for their lies. After being falsely accused by their servant, Mary Warren Proctor and his wife were arrested in 1692. The sheriff went to their house and seized their goods and alcohol and sold off his cattle, leaving the Proctor's children without a means of support. Proctor petitioned to the court to move his trial to Boston, or at the very least to change the judges because the locals have already undone us in our estates, and that will not serve their turns without our innocent blood. It was to no avail. Proctor was convicted and executed in August of 1692. His wife was spared because she was pregnant. I could cry. So sad. Martha Corey, another respected church member who was among the second wave of suspects, was hanged in September 1692. Mary Esty, the sister of fellow defendant Rebecca Nurse. Esty insisted in court that I am clear of this sin and that she had prayed against the devil all of her days. Her demeanor was so convincing that even her questioner, Judge John Hawthorne, was moved to turn to Esty's accusers and asked, "Are you certain this is the woman?" They responded by writhing and screaming, but nonetheless, Esty was released from jail. However, one of her accusers appeared to fall ill, and 2 of the others claimed that they have seen Esty's specter tormenting her. Esty was arrested once again, and this time she was convicted and hanged. And Puritan, a twice widowed mother of 6, who was also a midwife and nurse, inherited property from her second husband. And this was a big no-no in the male-dominated colonial New England society. made her a target of those witchcraft allegations. The testimony of witnesses, including a girl who claimed that Anne had tortured her by impaling a voodoo doll, and another who accused her of shape-shifting into a bird, was made worse when a constable found curious containers of various ointments in her home, which was for her to make soap. This was the most clean lady, and they found soap. Which scary cleanliness. How dare you? Despite her screaming she was innocent, she was condemned to death and hanging. Samuel Wardle, born in Boston, was a carpenter who followed his brother Benjamin to Salem to build houses. He was one of the few and perhaps the only defendant who actually had dabbled in magic, allegedly, when he occasionally amused his neighbors by playing at telling their fortunes, a practice that was outlawed as black magic by the Puritans. Sam's bigger crime may have been marrying a younger widow, Sarah Hawkes, in 1673. Her sizable inheritance combined with his carpentry work made the couple suspiciously wealthy in a society where petty resentments and envy often blossom into suspicions that someone had satanic assistance.
God forbid somebody just work hard.
Yeah. God forbid someone's blue collar. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
After his arrest in 1692, Sam, perhaps in an effort to save himself, conceded that he had agreed to a contract with the devil, who had promised to make him wealthy, and even confessed to evil deeds that he had not been accused of. He later tried to recant, but it was too late. This guy was just like, yeah, for sure. Guess what? I also did something else. And in September 1692, he was hanged.
So sad.
So even if you do say, yeah,
it didn't matter what you said, what they said to you would happen. It didn't matter. If they wanted to condemn you, you were condemned.
It's so sad.
It was also 25, by the way. It was 25 that were executed, and over 200 people were accused during this time period.
Okay, so then I have the 25
people. Yeah, so yeah, 25 people were executed, and 200 were accused.
But that also doesn't include all of the other villages as well, where this was swirling around.
Yeah.
Alice Parker was the wife of John Parker of Salem. She was arrested in May in 1692 after being accused by the same servant who accused John Proctor and his wife. Accused of sundry acts of witchcraft, she was tried in September and convicted and hanged shortly after. Mary Parker, a wealthy widow from Andover. She and her daughter Sarah were arrested and accused of witchcraft as well. When she entered the courtroom at her trial in September of 1692, several of the young female accusers fell into writhing spells, even before her name was announced. One witness testified that she had seen Mary Parker's spirit perched high on a beam above the court at one of the hearings in Salem. Parker was convicted and hanged shortly after. And it didn't even stop at just wealthy people. Even if you were one that follows the rules, puts people in jail, you could be in trouble too. John Willard, a sheriff's officer who lived in Salem, was ordered to bring in several of the accused. He declined, apparently out of belief that they were innocent. As a result, he himself was accused. After initially escaping arrest in Salem by fleeing to Nashwaag, about 40 miles away, he was taken into custody and put on trial in August 1692. The girls who claimed to have been afflicted by witchcraft testified that a spectral being that they called the Shining Man had materialized and prevented Willard's specter from cutting one of their throats. Willard was found guilty and hanged shortly after. These girls are really good with storytelling. I'll tell you what. But it's all lies. Wilmot Red, the only Marblehead... Is that right? Marblehead?
Yeah, I think so.
Wilmot Red, the only Marblehead resident to be condemned for witchcraft. Wilmot was an eccentric with a volatile temper and liked to argue with her neighbors. Among other crimes, she was accused of sending her spectral doppelganger to Salem to torment one of the young girls who instigated the witch hunt. She was arrested, brought to Salem for trial, and then hanged in September in the final wave of execution. Poor Margaret Scott. She was born in England in 1615 and moved to New England with her parents at a young age and married a struggling farmer, Benjamin Scott. The couple had 7 children, only 3 of whom lived to adulthood. And after her husband died in 1670, Scott lived off his meager savings, ran out eventually. After she was forced to beg for support from her neighbors to survive, which made her a target of resentment and probably led to her arrest. Witnesses testified during her trial that she had visited them in her spectral form and choked and pinched them. She was found guilty and hanged in September. But by the end of 1692, things started to turn. In October, Governor Phipps dissolved the special court used for many of the witch trials. He ordered that spectral evidence was no longer allowed. Then, in early 1693, a new court, the Superior Court of Judicature, begins to try remaining cases. Many accused were released, some convicted are pardoned or have sentences shortened. Also, the personal reckonings begin. Judge Samuel Sewall issues a public apology in 1697 for his role in the trials. Clergy and community members reflect, though the formal trials ended, their legacy echoes. And the phrase witch hunt enters the vernacular as a metaphor for baseless accusations, mass hysteria, and scapegoating. Salem becomes a cautionary tale about evidence and its standards, and spectral evidence becomes viewed as unreliable. And later decades.
Who would have known?
I mean, literally, like, who could have guessed that we would look back on this and be like, that's crazy?
You know what gets me, and is like, through every time that like I've ever listened, heard, like read, whatever, anything about this, I still don't understand what like randomly made them come to their senses and be like, this was wrong, and like just get over it, and then go act like nothing happened. Like I still don't understand like exactly like why they like randomly were like, yeah, we're just gonna stop now.
I don't understand where that snap came from either. Maybe they realized, oh, public executions aren't that great. Or these people claimed their innocence up until their death. What's going on? It's just so crazy that it went back to normal before the witch trials. Or did it? Anyways, in later decades and centuries, the colony and its descendants worked to clear names and pay restitution. Now we have plays like The Crucible, literature, museum exhibits, tours. Salem today is a major tourist site. Also, more scholars have tried to understand the causes beyond the superstition, psychological, environmental. Some scholars also claim that they may have had ergot poisoning that made them turn crazy. Makes sense, but there's also those social pressures, gender and class dynamics. But what lessons do you think we should draw from Salem?
Never listen to crazy. I just don't like, I don't even know. I don't know how to word it exactly, but you know what I'm trying to get at.
I do.
You just don't listen to crazy people. Like, you don't just take, I mean, yeah, like in some cases, like, you know, you'll see that you need to take somebody's word for it, but like, especially during this time, like, you just can't, I don't know.
Understand. Is it the danger when fear trumps due process? The vulnerability of marginalized people in times of crisis? How those with power can stoke or calm panic? Or the importance of dissent, skepticism, and rigorous standards of evidence? Because it all started with 2 small afflicted girls to a cascade of executions, trials, and deaths. The Salem witch trials stand as more than history. They're warnings that in moments of fear, we must guard our principles, our justice, our compassion, because the cost of losing them is enormous.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize how timely this was. I'm so sorry. Anyways.
It was perfect.
Well, whether it's crime, conspiracy, or just straight up spooky, we're going to keep talking about it. Like, follow, comment, and stay tuned for new episodes each week because we'll just keep getting dark and spooky from here. So stay...
2 episodes for October.
Yes, 2 episodes for October, so you get to hear more from us. So remember to stay nosy and stay spooky, and we'll see you in 2 days.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.